Hello and welcome to online edu classes of Brilliant Public School by Kailash Kumar sir. Today in this video we are going to study another important chapter of class 6 English unit 6 section 2, The Canterville Ghost, written by Oscar Wilde, and this is the first part which includes scene 1 and 2. So let's begin our video. First of all, let us see about the author. Oscar Fingal O'Flaherty Wills Wilde was born in Dublin, which is in Ireland, on 16th October 1854. He was an Irish author, playwright and poet. His father was a successful surgeon and his mother a writer and literary hostess. After he graduated, he moved to London to pursue a literary career. Some of his famous works are The Picture of Dorian Gray, The Importance of Being Earnest, and The Happy Prince and Other Stories. He died in Paris on 30th November 1900. Right, students? So this was all about Oscar Wilde. Now let us proceed ahead. The main characters of this story, The Canterville Ghost, are: first, Sir Simon the Ghost. Here we can see in this picture. Next, Mr. Hiram Otis and Mrs. Lucretia Otis, an American couple. These are the pics. Next is Virginia. She is the daughter of Mr. Otis and Mrs. Otis. Washington, son of Mr. Otis and Mrs. Otis. Next important characters are Clark and Lois. They are the twin sons of Mr. Otis and Mrs. Otis. The next one is James, the butler. He is the chief of all the servants. The next is Lord Canterville. He is the former owner of Canterville Castle. So, let us proceed ahead. The Canterville Ghost summary. The Canterville Ghost is a short story by Oscar Wilde in which a girl befriends the ghost haunting Canterville Chase and helps him cross over into the afterlife. Afterlife means after the death. Horace B. Otis and his family move into Canterville Chase, which is haunted by the ghost of Sir Simon, who killed his wife there. Otis, housekeeper, means James, claims that the blood stain in the living room is from the murder. Otis cleans it up, but the stain reappears. The ghost used Virginia Otis paints to recreate the stain. Virginia chastises Sir Simon for stealing the paints, but then agrees to help him pass into the afterlife. So this was the short summary of the Canterville Ghost. Let us begin with the scene 1, which is buying the castle. Lord Canterville and Mr. Otis are having a discussion. They are having a deal to buy and sell this property. Lord Canterville speaks. Sir, I think you are being rather foolish. This castle is haunted. My family abandoned it the day my great-grand aunt, the Duchess of Bolton, felt two skeleton hands on her shoulders. Mr. Otis replied, My lord, I will buy the house and everything in it, including the ghost. So here Lord Canterville says to Mr. Otis that you shouldn't buy this castle because this is a haunted one, and he also tells the background of the castle that the Duchess of Bolton, means her great-grand aunt, she felt skeleton hands on her shoulders. From that day onwards we came to realize that this is a haunted castle, so you should not buy this castle. But Mr. Otis is determined to buy this house, this castle, and he tells Lord Canterville that I will buy the house and everything in it, and also including the ghost which is there inside it. Abandoned means left or deserted or quit. Means that castle was abandoned. It was left without any care. Lord Canterville says, please be warned, sir. The ghost always appears before the death of any member of my family. Here again, Lord Canterville is giving a caution about that Mr. Otis should not buy this castle. But anyhow, let us see what happens. Mr. Otis replied, and so does the family doctor, Lord Canterville. I come from a modern country, America, where we don't believe in ghosts. Lord Canterville says, it's alright with me, but please remember that I warned you. Here again, final time, Lord Canterville warns Mr. Otis that should always remember that I have warned you that you should not buy this. But after taking this risk, if you are doing so, you will be responsible for what will happen here. Next is scene 2, the castle. The Otis family walks up to the castle. Right, students? Here we can see in the picture that the Otis family is moving inside the castle after purchasing it. Now let us explore what happens next. When the Otis family enters the castle, they are given a warm welcome by James, the chief servant. James says, I bid you welcome to Canterville Castle. Mr. Otis replied, good day, James. Let me introduce you to my family. This is my wife, Mrs. Lucretia Otis. This is my eldest son, Washington. This is my daughter, Virginia. And those are the twins. They are Lewis and Clark, named after the American explorers. So here in this scene we have got the complete details of all the family members. Let us proceed. Next, in this scene, Lewis and Clark run on stage. They speak to James, the chief servant. Lewis says, hi James, where is the fridge? I am thirsty. Clark says, hey, funny hat you have there. So here Lewis and Clark, they first time talks to James and they ask about the fridge as they were thirsty. And Clark says that the hat you have is funny. James tells to the other family members, let me show you all around the castle. This is the door to the kitchen next to the fireplace. Virginia is shocked by a scene and she says, Mother, look at this. It looks like blood on the rug here. James says, yes, it's blood from Eleanor de Canterville. She was murdered there about 300 years ago. Oh my God. Means whatever Lord Canterville told about this castle was a real fact. Means James too agrees with this that there was a brutal killing, there was a murder which happened there 300 years ago. Mr. Otis said, that's horrible. Somebody was killed there. James says, yes, Sir Simon de Canterville killed his wife there. So this was the suspense that was revealed here, that Sir Simon de Canterville, he killed his wife there 300 years ago. Let us see next. Mrs. Otis interrupting, she says, pardon me, but who is this Simon guy? James says, oh, just a relation of my employer's. That's him on the wall. So here on the wall we can see the picture or the portrait of that person is hanged there. Mrs. Otis says, James, remove that ghastly man from our wall at once. Ghastly means terrible, very horrible, awful, fearful, and terrifying. So Mrs. Otis asks James to remove that portrait, that picture from the wall, which was very horrible and fearful. Next, James removes the portrait and sets in it on table, and Virginia sits down and gets her paints out. Here in the picture we can see that Virginia is taking out her paints and she keeps the paints on the table. Clark says, yeah, I bet that's why he haunts the place. Sir Simon, where are you hiding? Come out and show yourself. So Clark, as we know that he was very mischievous boy, so he's trying to talk to Sir Simon and he's asking to come out from wherever you are hiding. Mrs. Otis says, do be quiet, Lewis and Clark. James says, if I were you, I wouldn't concern myself too much. He only likes to play tricks nowadays. Concern means worry or care or attention. So James is telling further that if I were you in your place, I wouldn't have cared much myself, because nowadays Sir Simon means the ghost which is there in the castle. He likes to play tricks. Washington says, just give me a second to remove the stain. Now Washington is telling to others that just give me a moment, give me a second. I am removing that stain, that mark of the blood from the rug on the floor. James further says, oh, I wouldn't. Means James also tried to clean that mark, that stain from the rug on the floor, but it can't be removed. Sir Simon simply won't permit it. It's one of his little tricks. So here on this picture we can see that Washington is trying to remove or clean that blood stain marks from the rug on the floor there. Washington says, nonsense. There is nothing Pinkerton's champion stain remover and Paragon detergent can't clean up. And he starts cleaning up the floor. Detergent means it is a cleaner or washing powder which is used to remove the stain marks. So he is giving a challenge to James that there is nothing which Pinkerton's champion stain remover and Paragon detergent can't remove anything from any surface. So he starts cleaning up the floor. Lewis says, let's go find the ghost. Clark says, yeah, let's go grab our pea shooters and scare him. Lewis and Clark exit from there. Their loud bang off stage. James faints. Here we can see that James got faints here. Faints means unconscious. Whatever was the reason, let us find in the next clip. Mrs. Otis says, oh dear, what can we do with a butler who faints? Now, after some moment, James gets up. James says, sorry about that. Now, let me continue my tour. Mr. Otis interrupts him and says, now, if you excuse us, we are all very tired. Good night. James, of course. I am sorry for keeping you awake all time. Good night, sir. Right, students? So this was all about part 1, scene 1 and scene 2. So I hope this much is clear to you all about the Canterville Castle, and about all the family members and the series of incident which happened first in the form of bloodstain marks. The remaining part of this chapter we will continue in the second part and third part. So, thank you all. Have a great day.